This was another big one.
And they go down to Edey. Karaban trying to guard him. Edey drives the left shoulder, and Karaban gets whacked in the head. Oh, man. Right in the face he got hit, and he lays it up with a little jump hook.
Pointing at his nose.
Man.
He's also talking to one of the officials, Oglesby, about that. He says, wait a minute, where's the foul?
I think he's got to fall down. What else can you do? I mean, you got to flop or something just to prove it. Look at this. On the replay, Edey works him. Oh,
left
man.
Shoulder.
Right in the face.
Wow.
Who said basketball isn't a tough game? I'll tell you what, you play Zach Edey, you're coming out of here with some bruises. UConn leading 65-49. This is the final championship game played between the Big Ten and the Big East. Villanova had the last victory over Michigan, 2018.
TV put up a graphic at halftime. The solar eclipse was actually just Zach Edey standing up. This dude is an unusual player, but he's a good player.
Certainly is. Tristan Newton leading the way for UConn with 16. Steph Castle now has 13. Castle at halftime only had 4, so he's had 9 in the second half. UConn doing a job on the boards, Wayne. 33-25, plus 8 against this team, which is used to out-rebounding its opponents by at least 9.
11.7 on the year, number 2 in the nation, and UConn has the edge on the glass. They're so relentless. It's been that way all year long.
Zach Edey's been mentioned in the same breath as Patrick Ewing and David Robinson and what he's done in this tournament. He's just having another great tournament. UConn looking to get in. They get it to Diarra. He's double-teamed for the moment and gives it up to Spencer. Ahead to Castle, and now it's Karaban in the front court to Newton. And Newton will take more time off. Out near the timeline. Gives it up to Karaban. Karaban steps into a 3 and missed it. And a rebound, Purdue. Here comes Smith quickly to the front court. Still 4.5 to go. Long way to go. Smith gives it in the near corner to Heide. Drives in the paint on Castle. Can't get a shot off. Gives to Edey with a left-hand hook. He missed. And it's rebounded by Diarra. Wow. That was point blank. I don't know how he missed that. Edey now, 11 of 21.
How long will Klingon stay on the bench? He can stay there the way that he's shooting and the way UConn is still defending him. Thank you, Alex Karaban.
All right. Member of the coaching staff, Wayne Norman, stepping in with some strategy. All right, here's Newt out near the timeline, front court left, guarded by Braden Smith. Cuts into the paint. He attacks Edey. Now he backs away. Down to 3. Got to shoot. Steps in, shoots, misses, but Edey fouled him. Tristan Newton is tricky. And Edey has committed his third. We're going to get free throws by Newton when we return. 2 free throws coming up. UConn leading 65-49. Introducing Sparked Energy by Dunkin'. Energy for the fun of it. Available in 2 full-on delicious flavors. Berry Burst and Peach Sunshine. A revitalizing burst of caffeine, vitamins, and minerals. Fruit flavored, contains 0% fruit juice, caffeine from caffeine and guarana. Participation may vary. Limited time offer, terms apply.
Coach Hurley just had a cordial discussion with all 3 officials, unlike the more contentious ones of earlier.
Cordial. I've never heard that word in the broadcast, but there it is. From Brown Paint, Darris and Scott, timeout on the floor, 3:50 to go. Sounds like our pregame production meeting is cordial. 65-49, UConn with the lead here on Learfield.
Are you traveling out of Bradley Airport and need a safe, reliable place to park your car? Trust your vehicle to Laz Fly Off-Airport Parking, located on Route 75 in Windsor Locks. They have both valet and self-park options to fit any budget. Laz Fly is open 24 hours a day and will get you to the airport on time, every time. Join their loyalty program to earn points for free parking, and be sure to ask about their corporate discounts. Save 20% by pre-booking online at lazfly.com. Laz Fly is the official parking company and a proud supporter of UConn Athletics.
At KeyBank, we know a small moment like,
what's it like to have a yard?
Can lead to an even bigger question like,
am I ready to buy a home?
And that's the type of moment where we'll meet you, prepared to talk about everything you need to know when applying for a mortgage, so you can try to turn those backyard dreams into reality. Paul?
Yes?
Question. Are you a hammock person?
You know, I think I might be.
For every financial need, we'll meet you in the moment. KeyBank opens doors. NMLS 399797, Equal Housing Lender.
College sports fans now have access to hundreds of weekly podcasts that zero in on the college sports world. Now available in the Varsity Podcast Network and part of the new Varsity app. The app is free and available from wherever you get your favorite apps. Download the Varsity app today to have access to hundreds of national podcasts as well as your favorite team-focused podcasts. The Varsity Podcast Network, now available for free on the Varsity app. Download from the App Store and listen today.
This is UConn men's basketball. Now back to our Big Y broadcast location at State Farm Stadium.
Stay with us after the game with the Hart Auto Group post-game show. We got game highlights, interviews, final stats, and scores all coming your way courtesy of the Hart Auto Group. Shop Hart Auto Group. We treat you like family and are only a heartbeat away. HartCars.com.
Well, Mike, I gave that stat at halftime that the last 8 games, UConn in the second half has shot 57.5% from the floor. Well, they're not doing that today. Second half, they're 13 of 29, 45%. For the game, 47%. But Purdue in the second half, shooting 6 of 18, 33%. They're down to 41%. So Huskies getting enough field goals when they need it, but they're also pulling away in this game because their defense in the second half has been lights out. And Purdue, a 41% three-point shooting team, second in the nation, has only taken 5 threes. They are 1 of 5. Remember that first half on Saturday night? 8 for 11 for Alabama? Well, UConn tightened it up in the second half, and it's continued tonight.
Huskies with Tristan Newton going to the line. And Newton's first free throw is up and good. And Tristan now leading the way with 17 points.
Alex Caravan, who got the assist a little while ago from Tristan Newton. No, that came from Samson Johnson. Anyway, Caravan repeatedly has said to us and others, he says, Tristan Newton's the best point guard in the country. Well, they got the Cousy Award, which is what that signifies, but he's been lights out. Outstanding again tonight.
Newton's second one is up and good. He rises to the occasion. He really does. Huskies, the only team since '99 to play in 6 of these national championship games. Here they are, leading 67-49. Braden Smith driving on Diarra, and he's called for a foul. He pushed him from behind, a little bit of a flop. And Diarra's got 4. UConn is just hanging in there in terms of the foul situation.
And as long as they stay in control of this game, Klingon will stay on the bench. Caravan stays at the 5 with 3:42 remaining.
So it's going to be Braden Smith on the line. He's played well here, 11 points, and he misses a free throw. They've been 2 for 2.
He's an 80% free throw shooter. He had a big first half, only 2 points in the second half.
First in Purdue history. You may have mentioned this earlier in assists. 278 makes the second one. And your score 67-50 UConn. 3:40 to go in the game as Castle has to beat full court pressure, and he got it in, but it's deflected out of bounds. And wait a minute, Newton touched it apparently. Purdue gets the turnover.
Well, not a good thing for the Huskies in that case. The press finally works. UConn had broken it pretty well the last 5 minutes or so, but only 6 turnovers for UConn. At the final 4 now, they have a total of 10 turnovers.
They get it into Edey, high post left, guarded by Caravan. He pitches it outside to Gillis. Now in the hands of Lance Jones. Lance Jones cuts the left up the dribble, gives to Gillis. Down low to Edey, working on Caravan. Oh, he bounces him off. Bounced him back about 3 feet and then laid it in left-handed.
It was that shoulder thing again, like before when he got him in the nose.
Yeah, you're 7'4", your shoulder's about 7 feet off the ground. UConn across the timeline to Diarra, rather. Diarra on the right sideline, double teamed, gives it to Caravan. Caravan over to Spencer on the right sideline. 3 minutes to go in the game. Spencer looking to set it up. And we get a warning for the 2 coaches, I think, for being outside the coaching box. I think.
Matt Painter, I bumped into him yesterday, and I said, hey, you played against UConn back in '92. Do you remember that game? He says, yeah, I had 2 field goals and 2 free throws.
Oh, Dan Hurley stepped on the court. That's what happened. All right, here's Lawyer kicking it right to Lance Jones, blocked by Spencer. Down low to Edey. Try to kick it back to Lance Jones. He attacks inside. He lays it up and in. 67-54. 2:46 to go, and I think Klingon's going to come back in here. I'll tell you what, Caravan has a really tough assignment trying to go against a 7-4 man.
So that's a 5-0 run now for Purdue. Huskies still outscoring them 31-24 in the second half. So in that game in 92, it was the Hall of Fame Classic, season opener, 92-93. Purdue beat UConn 73-69. Glenn Robinson had 30 points and 9 rebounds. Donyell Marshall got hurt in that game, played just 17 minutes at 8 points. Brian Fair out of Phoenix, Arizona, South Mountain High School, is here in this arena tonight. He had 15 points for the Huskies, but again, Matt Painter had 6 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. So I mentioned that to him yesterday, and I was surprised he remembered that 92 game that he had 2 field goals and 2 free throws for his 6 points. He says, when you score 495 career points, you remember every one of your baskets.
Yeah. Come on, Wayne. You remember everything from 50 years ago. Why are you surprised at Matt Painter missing a layup and remembering?
I remember every one of the baskets I scored.
I know. It's easy because there aren't.
Starts at 0. Yeah.
All right, UConn, by beating Alabama, went to 5-1 in national semifinals. They're here trying to play for their 6th national championship. 6 overall would be amazing. In these championship games, they're 5-0 coming into this. So the Huskies with 36 wins on the year have 2 minutes and 46 seconds to navigate.
Klingon not in the game, still Karaban at the 5.
I'm going to leave Karaban in there. I guess maybe an extra ball handler against the pressure. Maybe that's what they're thinking. Newton will inbound the ball. Or rather, Diarra. He can run the baseline after the made basket. They get it to Newton. He's double-teamed, and he's fouled quickly. And that is going to put Newton on the line, shoot 1-1. So it looks like that's going to be Purdue's strategy. Stop the clock immediately. Hope for missed free throws. As Klingon is going to go back in the ball game here.
Newton 4 for 4 from the line in this game. In the last 12 games, 83%. 80 on the season. His free throws and attempts are both career highs. But the Huskies have been really good from the line lately. As the last 7 games, they've been 79% free throw shooting. That'll win you some games.
Yeah, Newton 5 of 7. Or the team 5 for 7 in this game. And Tristan makes the first one. Newton now 5 for 5 in the game.
I just bring up what I've said several times in the last couple of days, including tonight. It's amazing. Not just in championship games this year and last year, but in certain games of the year. You need a big play, somehow Newton finds a way to get it done. He came up huge against San Diego State last year. He's been great tonight.
And remember Kansas, the road loss?
Oh, man.
He
kept him in it.
He did. Already makes both free throws, 69-54. Smith drives it down to baseline left, picks up his dribble, goes down low to Edey. Edey put it up, and he dunked it that time as Klingon had to allow it. And the score, 69-56.
They'll go to Edey every possession in these final 2.5 minutes.
All right, they get it to Karaban against the pressure, ahead to Spencer. Spencer into the front court, guarded there by Gillis. And now Spencer in the far corner wants a timeout. With the 2:14 remaining, UConn 2:14 away from making history. Florida was the last team to go back-to-back, 06-07. UConn trying to do it here. They won the Big East championship a few weeks ago. They won the regular season championship. They were chasing the Eastern Regional in Boston. They got that. And now, 2 minutes and 14 seconds away from another national championship. Led by 6 at half, 36-30. And they've extended it to as much as 18 in the second half. 30-second timeout on the court. 33 points by Edey is the most points scored by a UConn opponent this year. I'm looking back on last year right now. This is the second 30-win season in a row for UConn. It's second time in their history that that's happened. 97-98, 98-99 when they won their first championship. They won 30-plus. The Huskies this year have set a record for assists, 710. They set a record for points scored, 3,095. And a program record for wins, 36. As they try to finish the job. Edey's got 33 points now. 10 times he's done that. Right now, Jeff Anderson's trying to put Matt Painter back in the coaching box. He's not having a lot of success. As Huskies look to inbound, Karaban to the backcourt to Newton. And Tristan dribbles across the timeline, guarded by Lance Jones. And Newton taking some time off the clock. We're down to 2 minutes to go. Newton starts left up a screen by Klingon. He fires in the far corner to Carabano. Drives base on Edie. Gives it up to Klingon, and he hits a little floater. Donovan back off the bench. Now has 9. UConn 71-56. Here's Braden Smith attacking Castle. And he missed the layup, but Edie dunks home the miss. 71-58 UConn. Minute 40 to go. Here's Caravan. Gets it into Newton. They double him. Back to Caravan. Ahead to Spencer. And Castle in the front court on the left sideline. They foul him. That is the 9th team foul on Purdue. And the realization may be setting in here. A minute 31 to go as UConn leads 71-58. Purdue in their first final game in 55 years, going back to 1969. Had a tremendous year. They won 10 games against ranked teams. They've won 22 straight against ranked teams as Castle makes the first free throw. And Wayne, this is a great stat. I mean, if you're a Purdue fan, UCLA in 71-74 was the last team to beat 22 straight ranked teams. Purdue's done that in the last couple of years. Castle's second one rolls in off the front rim. And UConn leads 73-58. Braden Smith across the timeline, guarded by Castle. Attacking Klingon. Puts up a little floater to Edie, and he dunks, and he's got 37 points.
Well, that's the most points since Teddy Allen of New Mexico State scored 37 in the NCAAs against the Huskies 3 years ago.
Caravan gets it into Newton, ahead to Castle, and we're into a minute 5 left. UConn going to run some clock as Spencer has the dribble, and he'll give it to Caravan. And now 12 seconds away from a shot clock violation. They give it to Spencer. Back to Caravan. Caravan ducks into the paint. Goes alley-oop to Klingon. Klingon lays it in left-handed on the reverse, and that might be it. In the mix for 6, might become 6 in just 35 seconds. Braden Smith air ball. Out of bounds, UConn basketball with 36 seconds remaining.
And Dan Hurley again clears the bench in a national championship game.
He's getting them all in there. Apostolos Rumaglu, Castle, and Spencer hugging.
Look at Coach Hurley playing to the crowd, waving the arms to that crowd behind the UConn bench and beyond here at Glendale, Arizona.
Klingon.
Big hug for Castle.
Caravan talking to Gillis and congratulating him on a great year.
Big, huge hug for Tristan Newton as he comes off the floor.
20 points for Newton.
Big chest bump for Spencer when he hit the coach.
And Caravan with a hug.
That was pretty funny. Hurley actually recoiled backwards after that Spencer hit.
Dan Hurley famously said, and I'll never forget this, talking about Alex Caravan, before he played a game, he said Alex Caravan will win championships, plural. Now, I thought that was a bit of a stretch, Dan, but guess what? He's delivered. He's going to win his second championship in 2 years of college basketball.
5 points all in the second half, 2 for 7, 1 for 6 from 3. But he does other things to make you win. He sets the right screen, gets the ball to the right people, and today he had to go against his toughest opponent defensively of the year, Edie.
All right, Drew Hurley is going to dribble the ball, or he's going to hold it. They're going to take a shot clock violation here.
So this means he can't dribble out the clock. There's that discussion again.
Well, they got to turn it over.
Right, but it'll be Purdue ball.
He's talking to his dad. He said, dribble the ball at least, and then get the turnover. And now he pounds it down, and UConn has 6 seconds left before they celebrate. Hurley and Luke Murray are pounding it. I mean, they're pounding it over on the sideline. And that'll do it. The final will be 75-60. And UConn, made for March? Yes, indeed. Made for April? Yes, sir. And in the mix for 6, you bet. Now they've got 6. The Huskies are 6-time national champions. And it's time to celebrate UConn hoops at center court again. 75-60 will be the final.
More confetti for this UConn men's basketball team. And for the first time, the Big East has won the NIT and the NCAA championship in the same season.
All right, the players and Matt Painter leaving. Disappointed, I'm sure. He's had a great run at Purdue in 19 years, almost 500 wins, dominated the Big Ten, and gets to the final game but can't get the job done. UConn wins again by double figures, again by more than 13. They continue to add to that record. The confetti is flying.
The record is 12 now, 6 last year, 6 this year, and nobody else has done it more than 6 times. And UConn's done it 12 times, most consecutive wins by 13 plus. Indiana and LaSalle, number 2 on that list.
75-60 is the final. Tristan Newton with 20. Steph Castle with 15. Stay with us. We're going to have post-game coverage.
They're all in a huddle at center court, and Coach Hurley is leading the show.
And how hard is it to get back to the tournament, to get back to the Final Four after winning a national championship? Extremely hard. UConn not only did it, they got back here, and they deliver another trophy to UConn basketball.
And, Mike, I think it's time to talk legacy, as we did before the opening tap. There may be other people with other opinions, including some of the guys on former championship teams, but there is no doubt in my mind this is the best team in UConn men's basketball history. When they came here to Phoenix, Glendale, they had to finish the deal, win 2 games. They've done that. To me, no argument. This is a phenomenal team. They were great last year. Who would have thought this team could be better than last year's team?
Nobody.
But they are.
Nobody. 37-3 is the final record. They finished with a 13-game winning streak. They had a 14-game winning streak earlier in the year. That got broken at Creighton and Omaha. And they didn't lose it since then. They didn't lose another game. They came roaring out of that. And that's what they did. You know, when adversity came their way, and it came a couple times, they were able to overcome it and just play at the highest level. A very impressive championship win for UConn today.
And, Mike, to speak to that comparison we're just making last year versus this year, you start with what they lost off that team last year. 3 future professionals, 4 if you count Joey Calcaterra playing in the G League, as, by the way, is Adama Sanogo for the most part of the year as well. But the ability to not only restock, and with Coach Hurley now, we've learned he doesn't rebuild, he reloads. Cam Spencer, such a big part of the equation, a 44% three-point shooter, as he winds up having one of the best single-season three-point shooting seasons in UConn history, as he winds up tied for 4th all-time with 99 made three-pointers. Ray Allen, number 1 on that list. And then the contribution of the freshman, Steph Castle. Castle got off to a slow start today after his 21-point career-high equaling game back on Saturday night, but Castle winds up with 15 points. He has 5 rebounds. He has 3 assists for the Huskies. But I think more than what he did at the offensive end, the way that Coach Hurley put Steph Castle on the other team's best guard offensively, and he often would just lock them up. That was a big part of what this UConn team began. And then the development of Donovan Clingan, a backup to Adama Sanogo last year. Clingan, the last month of the season, Clingan played lights out. And even going against Zach Edey, he had 11 points on 5 of 8 shooting and fought through the foul trouble as Huskies win the national championship.
All right, we're going to be joined here courtside as Tristan Newton goes over to celebrate with his family. And we're joined by Steph Castle. And Steph, well, that was a spectacular season, a spectacular game. You didn't get up to a great start, but you made some huge plays to get this thing turned around. I had a lot of fun watching it, I got to say.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, we worked so hard, so just to see that our work paid off, it means everything, bro. Damn.
Steph, you're a little emotional right now. You tell the folks what's going through your mind right now. This is a great moment.
I mean, just growing up as a kid, just watching all these games, just to be a part of it, I mean, it's been everything I could ask for. And just to do it with the group that we have, I mean, it just means everything. So, I mean, I am a little emotional, but, I mean, it's been a crazy ride, and I'm happy we got it done.
And all year long, you did have a target on your back. I mean, you came in as a freshman, but this team is a defending national champs. To win 37 of 40 games in your freshman year, that is a special achievement.
Yeah, I mean, credit to my teammates and my coaches. I mean, they always put me in the best positions to be successful. I mean, that guy did a lot of work tonight, too. So, I mean, a lot of credit to him.
Yeah, Tristan Newton just walked by. How about him in big games? I mean, last year in the championship game, huge. Here tonight, 20 points.
I mean, he's our point guard. And, I mean, we're going to lean on him. I mean, through thick and thin. So just to see him have a performance like this on the biggest stage when it means the most, I mean, that's all we can ask for from him, and he always executes for us.
So talk about the battle with Zach Edey inside, how UConn fought through the foul trouble, and even the job Alex Caravan did. But, you know, Edey had his 37 points, but you guys found other ways to beat them.
I mean, yeah, we knew that he was going to score. I mean, he's a great player, a lot of respect for him, but, I mean, they can't beat us with only 2-pointers. So, I mean, we let him do his thing, and, I mean, we got to go on offense, and now we're national champs.
All right, Steph, we appreciate it. Go celebrate with your teammates, man. Love you. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, Steph Castle, and UConn wins at 75-60. He's got to get up on that bandstand there and let the confetti come down.
Got their national championship hats and the shirts.
A lot of the former UConn guys are on the court right now. Mecca Okafor, Charlie Villanueva taking photographs, and Rudy Gay is there. It's just good to see these guys, and they're actually hugging Castle right now. Congratulations.
Well, that's because he's there. He's not up on the podium yet because he was talking to us. But
6 championships. That's just an amazing number. They're tied with North Carolina now, Wayne, and it's all in the last 25 years. You've seen them all, and you've seen UConn prior to being a championship contender. This is maybe one of the most amazing 25-year runs compared to UCLA, I think. You can't top UCLA. You know, it's 67-73. They won 6 in a row. They won 64-65. I mean, UCLA is probably never going to be exceeded in terms of championships. But this one, number 6 in 25 years, that's pretty impressive.
And I mentioned Teddy Allen of New Mexico State a couple of years ago. That's one that Coach Hurley, New Mexico State, lost first-round NCAA in Buffalo a couple of years ago. Even here at the Final Four, Coach Hurley's made a couple of references to that game. That was a pretty tough time. Yes, you got to the NCAA, but you had a tough loss. You couldn't contain Allen, and they haven't lost an NCAA game since that time. There's Rudy Gay out there. I didn't see him here earlier.
I just mentioned that. Yeah. Good to see him.
Yeah, member of the Huskies
John
of Honor.
Paquette of the Big East. Obviously, the Big East very proud of what UConn's done there in the last couple of years. Now, Wayne, Villanova twice, UConn twice since 2016. Any more arguments about which conference is really the best in the country? I don't think there is. Do you? 4 Big East championships since 2016. 4 Big East champions, I should say, winning national championships.
Huskies have a little dynasty going here. See if we can pick up, that's Ernie Johnson up there on the stage. I don't know we're going to be able to hear what he's saying, though, because the PA system when you're down here on the floor is horrible.
Well, Dan Hurley's up there putting up 6. I'll tell you what, when he put up 5 last year, it was an astounding achievement for him in his 6th year now.
Meanwhile, close to us, we have Mecca Okafor taking selfies with the Husky mascot.
UConn has now won 68 of their last 79 games played. How about that? 68-11 in the last 2 seasons. Back-to-back 30-win years and back-to-back romps through the NCAA tournament. Connecticut exceeding the Indianas of the world, the Dukes of the world, and now even with North Carolina with 6 championships.
Huskies really only stubbed their toe once all year, as they ended up losing 3 times. But the first loss to Seton Hall, Donovan Clingan got hurt, foot injury. He only played 14 minutes and scored 14 points, and they eventually got blown out there. And they got blown out by Creighton. And the other one was at Kansas. Cam Spencer was fighting through a number of different foot injuries in that game. Newton went off, but the Huskies had a close loss out there in a really tough place to play. And the fact that you could still stay with a team like Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse, I thought that was an indication right there how good this team is.
Caron Butler has made an appearance here at Phoenix at State Farm Stadium, and all that UConn royalty out there enjoying this. Dan Hurley being interviewed. We'll try to get to him a little bit later on. Wayne's going to head over. As Caron Butler might walk over and say hello to us, we hope.
There's our guy who had one of the greatest NCAA tournaments in UConn history back in 2002. Yeah,
he's going to join us here on the sidelines. Caron Butler with a big, always the best smile I felt all these years. When you smile, man, you light up a room. But how about this? I mean, twice back-to-back championships. It's hard to imagine, really.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just to keep the consistency throughout the course of this run. So many things that could have happened and lack of motivation, and you never seen that sink in. And these guys, what Coach Hurley's been able to accomplish with these guys from a motivational standpoint, no complacency, it's just amazing.
How about the job that UConn had to do against Zach Edey, who got his points, got his dunks, got guys in foul trouble, but they still persevered? What was your observation on the defensive effort they tried to do on Edey? Because that was a tough battle.
Well, I look at it like this. From a playmaking standpoint, you got one individual on that team that's averaging 7 assists or more, and everyone else is two assists or less. So you took away the playmaking out of it. And then obviously it's an algorithm to the game, and you just knew that, all right, Edey can't beat you alone. And we start executing our offense, moving the ball side to side. The wheel offense that we were running for over 20 years led to a victory.
How about Klingon and the job he had to do tonight against that guy? And he hung in there. Didn't foul out. I mean, Sampson fouled out. But, man, that's a tough cover.
Yeah, meeting him in the restricted area, right under the dots, and just trying to body him as much as possible. The ball found him, and just trying to shrink the court, get deflections, just making it difficult for him. And obviously he got away with a little contact. He was extremely aggressive, but 2 points, and we're just high-volume offense. They can't win. There wasn't enough possessions in the ball game for them to win this game.
Karan, thoughts on the engine that makes UConn go, and that's Tristan Newton. Phenomenal job at point guard all year long, and he did it again tonight. You got 1,000 points in 2 years at UConn because of great guard play, and Tristan, just talk about how good he was in this tournament.
When you look at his game and the stats and stuff like that, obviously he's solid from an offensive standpoint, but it's just advantage, point touch, creating offense, creating opportunities. And then on the defensive end of the floor, just having that right disposition that just trickle down and have a domino effect amongst the guys. It's been amazing to watch.
And you got to have shot makers in today's college game, right? I mean, how about Cam Spencer? His ability to shoot outside, get in the lane, hit those little runners.
I thought that changed the game because Edey was in a drop coverage, and they made him pay the price for being in that coverage. And then all of a sudden now in the second half, it opened up the backside lobs, and now you're finishing at the rim. Now they don't know what poison they want to live with, and that opened up the game up in the second half.
Karan, you're with Miami. You know about NBA talent. A lot of talk that all 5 starters for UConn might be in the league next year. What are your thoughts on the individuals for UConn, maybe their professional futures, and maybe lottery picks?
Yeah, listen, Castle, Newton, Klingon, like all those guys, I feel like, when you win at this level, they're definitely ready. It's just a matter of when they decide to make that decision. Hopefully they come back. But, with this program, we don't rebuild. We just reload. We'll be right back here.
And Karan to win 6 now. I mean, you're up there with, you passed Duke now. Now you're tied with North Carolina. Is someone going to respect UConn at some point here? What do you got to do?
Hey, look, whenever you think you can't, UConn. We're in a class by ourselves. All the titles that we were winning over the last decade is just amazing to watch. Multiple coaches. Calhoun started this thing. And, Coach Hurley's just leading the way, leading the charge going forward.
And, Karan, remind them that it's 6, but it was almost 7 in 2002 if it weren't for a guy named Steve Blake.
Yeah, in a bad shot. I'm still mad at Johnny Salvi to this day. That possession, it should have swung and got to me somehow. But, yeah, man, it's been amazing to watch. And these guys just carrying the torch amazingly well. And I'm just so proud of all these individuals. I see the glow in all the families. We're champions again.
Yeah, Karan Butler. But there's one final thought. How about defending a championship, Karan, on this level in the NCAA tournament in college basketball today? That's not easy.
And listen, you talk about being in the East, being in New York, being in Boston, and then having the plane trouble. I'm hearing sleeping in beds that was too small. I mean, everything, when you talk about adversity and conquering all of that, and then still being able to come out here on this platform with the pressure and the anxiety that comes with defending the title and still being able to, live up to expectation and exceed them with hoisting up that trophy right now as they're doing on the stage. That's special.
All right, Karan, we appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for joining us, Karan Butler.
I'm going to have to grab some confetti. I'm taking some of this back to Atlanta.
Well, there's a lot of that to get. Yeah, it's so good to see him. They announced the all-tournament team. Yes, Tristan Newton is the most outstanding player. It was Adama Sanogo last year, and this time it's Tristan Newton. He's joined in the all-tournament team by Cam Spencer, Steph Castle, Donovan Clingan, and Zach Edey. I guess when you score 37, you get on an all-tournament team, a Final Four team.
Yeah, well, the team is still hugging up on the platform up there, but we'll try to talk to some of them as time goes on here. UConn wins at 75-60, and a championship again, a 13-game winning streak to end the season, and they finish it in style against Purdue, another team that Wayne was number 1 6 weeks this year. UConn was number 1, I think, maybe 10 weeks, something like that. So both of these teams are at the top of the game all year long. It came down to this, and UConn got the better of it.
Well, if UConn hadn't dropped that game to Creighton back in February, they might have stayed at number 1 all that time. As athletic director David Benedict comes over to slap us some 5 here as the Huskies win back-to-back national championships, shooting 48% in each half. But, it's funny that Purdue had those embarrassing losses in the NCAA, including the 116 loss to Fairleigh Dickinson. They didn't embarrass themselves tonight. They were competitive. They just went against a better team. End of story.
Yeah, 1 of 7 from 3 tonight for Purdue, and it wasn't good enough. UConn again with 18 assists. That's their average on the season, just 8 turnovers as they win the ball game 75-60. Going to take a break. Wayne's going to go up there and try to talk to a couple of players.
They're all on the stage, though. There's no players right now.
Eventually, they'll be back down there. We'll go over the highlights, and we'll talk about the stats. And who knows, we'll maybe have another special guest here on the postgame show. Stick with us. The Hart Auto Group postgame show continues in just a moment from Phoenix. UConn wins at 75-60 on Learfield.
Calling all movers and shakers, those cranking around on crutches, the high-heeled, the ready-to-be-healed, the always on your feet. We are masters of mobility, healers of joints, muscles, bones. What moves you, moves us. We are UConn Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, where we practice what we teach. Here, academic medicine, research, and clinical care unite as one relentless power. Because together, anything is possible. Visit us at health.uconn.edu.
Planning a move? Let Lippincott Van Lines, the official mover of the UConn Huskies, take the worry and stress out of your relocation. Whether you're moving across the country, across the world, or just across the street, Lippincott Van Lines will handle your packing, moving, and storage needs with the care and quality they deserve. If the UConn Huskies football team can trust Lippincott to get their gear to the field on time, you can trust them to get your items where they need to be. Call Lippincott Van Lines today for a free estimate at 800-245-8563.
Our coverage of the national championship game continues in 60 seconds. This is the UConn Sports Network from Learfield.
Mike Crispino here for the UConn Huskies. Hartford County friends, when you're choosing your new vehicle, come on over to the Farmington Valley and shop with Mitchell Auto Group. Volvo, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Subaru, Volkswagen, Ford, and Land Rover. Mitchell Auto Group values your safety, so don't fight the city traffic. Come on, enjoy country living at our 6 brand new state-of-the-art showrooms. And right now, if you're a UConn alumni or student, you can save up to $1,000 off your new car. Visit Mitchell today or online at mitchellautogroup.com and see why Mitchell Auto Group is the best choice for your new car.
And Doug. To celebrate everyone who's customized and saved hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual, we got a savings siren that goes off every time someone saves. There it is. It's a really more savings, which really, okay, a lot of savings. Little annoying now. Will you stop saving for 5 seconds?
Only pay for what you need at LibertyMutual.com. Savings may vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
High flying. UConn basketball is on. 97.9 WUCS. We are UConn Sports. The final buzzer sounded, and it's time for the Hart Auto Group postgame show. Coming up, we'll recap tonight's game with highlights, check scores from across the country, and visit with UConn players and coaches for postgame analysis. Let's go back to the Big Y broadcast location. Here's Mike Crispino.
UConn on the doorstep of history as they're cutting down the nets for a 6th time. And the first time back-to-back championships and Connecticut basketball history. And the first time since 2007 in the NCAA tournament has the defending champion come back to win back-to-back. And we go to the highlights. Mike Crispino here courtside. UConn ends up winning 13 in a row end the season. Close game early, and Cam Spencer got him off to a great start with 7 early points. Spencer off the high screen of Klingon. Can't get his shot off. Now he's in trouble. Now he puts a jumper up, and he makes it. 15-footer on the right baseline by Cam, and Spencer has carried the offense so far. He's got 7.
He shot it over Edey.
11-9 early in the first 5 minutes for the Huskies. Then Zach Edey went to work. He scored 5 straight field goals and was fouled on this one as they tied the game up, did the Boilermakers, with 12:15 to go in the first. They pump it down to Edey, working on Klingon, drives a left shoulder in, goes up and puts it in left-handed, and a foul is called. Not sure who it's on. The basket counts, and it is on Klingon that time. So Edey was doing his thing. UConn was battling for every piece of court space they could get. And it was next. Hassan Diarra got shut out in the semifinal game, but got in this ball game and scored 9 points, including this big triple. Back the other way, Spencer, front court right. Gives to Newton in the near corner. It's Diarra for 3. He got it. And the Junkyard Dog has made an appearance. He's got 7 early points, 7 of the 21, and UConn leads by 3. Midway through the first half, it was 21-18. The score was tied at 23 apiece with 6:50 to go when Donovan Klingon went to work inside. They get it into Newton in the left corner in front of the Purdue bench. Newton spins. He gives to Klingon. Jump hook by Klingon. Drops it in. That's a big shot.
Right over Edey.
Yeah, Donovan being more aggressive, and UConn by 3, 28-25. Klingon would end up with 11 points in the game, 5 rebounds in his 31 minutes of work. And he'd been playing 30-plus minutes in this postseason, really carrying the load. Braden Smith had a nice game tonight, the backcourt man for Purdue, after going 1 of 9 in the previous game, the semifinal against NC State. He ends up scoring 12 points. He knocked out a big 3 to get Purdue within 2. Edey on a handoff to Smith. Thought about shooting. Doesn't do it. Caravan on a switch has to guard him. Starts back to his right. Between the rings. 5 to shoot. 4 to shoot. 3 to shoot. Jumper by Smith is good. That's a big-time hit right there by Braden Smith. And Smith, as Purdue scored 5 straight points, got within 2. But UConn finished the half scoring the last 4 points thanks to Steph Castle, who had been quiet. He got to the basket, though, on a fabulous offensive rebound and scored. Back to Newton. 10 to shoot, 50 seconds left in the half. Newton on the drive. Goes up high and missed the shot. Batted around by Castle. He tipped it in. Oh, Steph stormed the Castle that time. And UConn leads 36-30. UConn by 6 at halftime, 15 of 31 from the field. We got second half highlights, but we're told that Matt Painter just took the podium for the post-game presser, so we'll try to catch up on that. But first, back to the second half. Tristan Newton, outstanding. He was the most outstanding player in the Final Four. He got to work early as UConn in the first minute of the second half was suddenly up by 9. Up the screen of Klingon. Spencer fadeaway. Front rim no good. Rebound Klingon. Kicks back outside of Newton. He tries a 3. Got it. Dialing it up from 3-point range. Cool hand Newton. And Newton 6 of 13 on the game. Had 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 20 points. And he came up big in the biggest moments. Samson Johnson had an impact too. He got to the rim and a couple of rim run dunks that were spectacular as UConn had their first double-digit lead at 47-34. Newton outside the circle gives up to Spencer. Bounce pass high post to Samson Johnson. Johnson looks to hand off to Newton. Newton now goes into the alley-oop mode again. That's Slamson Johnson. Rip City. UConn 47-34. And the Huskies by 13, and they never really looked back. At that point, they led by double figures the rest of the way. Tristan Newton, what a drive. I mean, there was some great shot making by him and Cam Spencer in this game, and this was Newton's best of the day. Klingon with a hand up to Diarra. Now Spencer spins right off the screen of Klingon. Into the paint, deals it to Caravan. Caravan can't get a shot off. Back to Newton. Now they're down to 6. They're down to 5. Newton stop and go. He attacks Edey. Put it in! Oh, what a shot! That was magic! Tristan Newton twisting his body against Edey and still scoring the basket. Newton had 16 at that point. UConn led 51-38. Caravan expanded it to 16. He was quiet tonight offensively, but did so many other things as he usually does. 6 rebounds, 4 assists. This was his three-pointer, and UConn went up. After a Diarra fast break bucket, UConn was able to go up by 16. Into the paint. Diarra dumps it right to Castle. Back to Newton on the right wing. Newton guarded by Smith. Screened by Castle. Newton almost had the ball stripped. Fires it left. Caravan sets up and fires and knocks it down. Three-pointer. Big time. Alexander the Great. And UConn leads 54-40. Castle then got on the act as UConn expanded to their biggest lead of 17 on Steph's triple. Back to Klingon, now to 10 to shoot. Klingon with the ball right to Caravan. Caravan up the high screen, into the paint, dumps right. Castle 3, Castle good. And the Huskies just working it. Just working it. Yeah, great ball movement, gets Castle loose. Biggest lead of the game, 8.5 to go, and they kept the heat on. As next came a floater from Spencer. We were talking to Karan Butler about it a moment ago. He is a creative guy in that mid-range. And he was able to knock one down. Fires to Spencer. Spencer back to the right on the screen by Caravan. Time running out. Spencer in the paint. Fadeaway shot. Good. Oh, baby. A patented fadeaway by Spencer. So Spencer, who ended up scoring the first 7 points of the game, 7 of 11, then able to knock down a couple later, and he ends up with 11 points and 8 rebounds. Always going to the boards. And we wrap it up. Donovan Klingon in and out of foul trouble trying to guard Zach Edey, and that is not an easy assignment. But Donovan, off a nice feed, was able to put the cap on it tonight. Give it to Spencer. Back to Caravan. Caravan ducks into the paint. Goes alley-oop to Klingon. Klingon lays it in left-handed on the reverse, and that might be it. In the mix for 6, might become 6 in just 35 seconds. He had been on the bench for a while with 4 fouls. He came right in, able to score, and UConn ends up winning this game and the national championship as the number 1 overall seed, defending national champs, and they win it 75-60. We'll be back, take a look at the stats. We'll hear more from other players, hopefully, as the Huskies have gone back-to-back, first team since Florida in 2006, 2007. And one of the few since the early 60s, since 1960, actually. We could name them for you. We'll come back. Cincinnati was the first to do it, 61 and 62 back then. So we continue our coverage of UConn basketball. The national championship is going back to Stores. They're putting another trophy. There'll be another trophy in that trophy case as the Huskies have done it here tonight, 75-60 over Purdue. We pause 10 seconds for station ID from Brown Paint, Harris and Scott. This is UConn basketball on Learfield.
97.9 WUCS. WUCS Windsor, Hartford. WUCS radio app.
At KeyBank, we know a small moment like,
what's it like to have a yard?
Can lead to an even bigger question like,
am I ready to buy a home?
And that's the type of moment where we'll meet you, prepared to talk about everything you need to know when applying for a mortgage, so you can try to turn those backyard dreams into reality. Paul?
Yes?
Question. Are you a hammock person?
You know, I think I might be.
For every financial need, we'll meet you in the moment. KeyBank opens doors. NMLS 399797, Equal Housing Lender.
Which schools will take home the prestigious Learfield Directors Cup for the 2023-24 college athletics season? You can follow the standings of your favorite school or alma mater at L Directors Cup on Twitter and online at thedirectorscup.com. That's thedirectorscup.com and L Directors Cup on Twitter. Trophies will be awarded in June 2024 to the winning institutions in all competitive divisions. Learfield Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics.
Husky men's basketball returns in 60 seconds. This is the UConn Sports Network from Learfield.
When an athlete goes down with an injury, it doesn't matter what team you're rooting for, everyone wants them to get up. If there's a serious injury, the team makes sure the player gets the help they need to get back in the game. If you've been injured, our team will help you get back on your feet. At Trantolo & Trantolo, our experienced legal team will protect your rights, fight the insurance company, and work hard to get you the compensation you deserve. Put the winning tradition of Trantolo & Trantolo on your side and let our family help your family.
UConn basketball is on 97.9 WUCS. We are UConn Sports.
You know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
We're back here in Glendale, Arizona, where UConn has won back-to-back national championships. The Hart Auto Group postgame continues. Mike Crispino here courtside with the Huskies cutting down nets. And Tristan Newton trying to get off the court and see his family. And we will take a look at the stats and we will hopefully talk to a couple more players and check in with the Purdue press conference to see where we go. We may get to Tristan Newton, perhaps, if he comes by us one more time. The final stats is UConn wins at 75-60, outscoring Purdue 39-30 in the second half after leading by 6 at halftime. The Huskies end up shooting 48.5%, 30 of 62. They make 6 of 22 threes, 9 of 11 from the line. And UConn ends up with 75 points. Biggest lead in the game was 18 for them. 11 points off turnovers, 13 by Purdue. The points in the paint, UConn 44-40, even with Zach Edey scoring 37. Second chance points, Purdue at 13-11. A big lift off the bench for UConn, 13-2, the advantage, as they got Samson Johnson with 4, and they got 9 from Hassan Diarra, and they only played combined about 18 minutes between them, so excellent bench production by UConn in this ball game. Individually, Huskies led by Tristan Newton's 20. He was 6 for 6 from the free throw line, 6 of 13 from the field. 2 for 5 from 3. 15 for Steph Castle, 6 for 13. He had 5 rebounds. He had 3 assists. 11 each for Donovan Clingan, who was also had 5 rebounds and a block shot. And also 11 for Cam Spencer, who had 8 rebounds, a couple of assists, 5 of 12 from the field. And Caravan ends up with 5. 2 of 7 shooting, had 4 assists, though, and he had 2 block shots. Played some good D. He had 6 rebounds. And I mentioned off the bench, Hassan Diarra with 9 points, 4 of 6 in just 13 minutes, and 4 by Samson Johnson before he fouled out. It's so tough to guard Zach Edey, isn't it? And UConn were able to win the game despite giving up 37 points to Zach Edey. The numbers for Purdue, Zach Edey with 37. Braden Smith had 12. 4 for Trey Kaufman-Wren. And 5 for Lance Jones. And 2 for Camden Heide. That was it. That was the scoring for them as he ended up 44.5%, only 1 of 7 from 3, and 11 for 15, 73% from the free throw line for Purdue. And Purdue ends up 34-5. What a great year for the Big Ten regular season champs. They did lose in the Big Ten tournament to Wisconsin. UConn finishes 37-3, including the Big East Championship, including the Eastern Regional Championship, and including the National Championship. UConn wins it back to back. So Cincinnati did it early 60s. UCLA did it 64-65, and then again 67-73. And then it was Duke 91-92. And that was followed a little bit later by Florida in 06-07. As UConn joins a very select crowd, right? UCLA's got more. And North Carolina has 6. And the Huskies now have 6 national championships. Amazing. We're going to check in, I think, with the presser that Purdue is running right now. Let's check in there.
Today, that's not who he was 3 years ago. So I always would talk about, like, he'd play 17 minutes, he'd get 12 points, he'd get 6 rebounds, he'd have 4 fouls, 6 turnovers, and we go to the monitor twice. And then, like, and all of a sudden 6 games later, like, he's not elbowing people in the head anymore. He's he couldn't pass at one time. And then all of a sudden he could pass. Well, he never got doubled, so why should he have to pass? So, like, it's amazing the way he's grown and the way he's developed, but also how he's went about it and the way he stayed professional.
On the left side, midway back. Hand the microphone right there. Thank you.
Lucas Gordon, Cronkite News. Earlier this season, you guys played a lot of good non-conference opponents and took down the number 1 team at the time, Arizona and Indianapolis. Did you use any of those games as a point of emphasis coming into this one, since you were playing the number 1 team in the country once again?
No, not really. The point of interest is, like, you play Illinois and, like, Terrence Shannon can really guard you. And you play Tennessee and Ziegler can really guard you. And it doesn't mean the other guys aren't great defensive players, probably good defensive players, right? And I'm kind of in theory here. So they just had so many good defensive players. Like, at every position, like, those guys do a great job. They know how to play. They move without the basketball. They have experience, from Tristan Newton's 5th year, Cam Spencer's 5th year, but like Caravan and Klingon, like, in their 2nd year, they play like veterans. Like, they have a great program. They have a great system, both offensively and defensively. They're a well-oiled machine. That's where they separate, because they do have laws offensively if you watch them. They have, they'll beat somebody by 25 and go 3 for 20 from 3. You're like, well, damn. Like, what if they go 12 for 20? Like, but it kind of shows you who they are. Like, they didn't get out on us and really get in transition because we didn't turn the ball over, as much as some other people that they've played. But they're just, they're so good when they get in transition and they get those runs. But the difference with them is how they are defensively. They're a better defensive team overall than all those other teams that we played, and that says something because those are some pretty good teams.
In the back of the room on the right side. Raise your hand for us. Thank you.
Andy Dorff, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Talk about that on-the-ball pressure and how daunting it was for you guys to get in your sets, right, and why it made you guys so one-dimensional.
Yeah, we were one-dimensional because of how good, Zach Edey is. So we were comfortable going to him, right? We were comfortable continuing to do that because that's what they're giving you. When a great defensive team says, okay, here's how we're going to play it, and you want to fight that and you want to take tough bad threes are going to be runouts for them. And that's what we really talked about. We kept showing those clips, and guys, you hear people say, they get thirsty. 3-point shooters that don't get looks now start take ones that they shouldn't take. And now that for them, they're just going to go score at the other end. So that's what we were talking about. Just take what they give you. If they take something away, whether it's Zach's post up Braden's ball screen, our threes, we still can get a quality shot. We had to be better on the glass, in my opinion, and then we had to be a little bit more efficient, in the shots that we were getting, and that balance right there could have got us into the game. It would have got us into the game and made it a game, but we just simply weren't able to do that.
Up front on the right side.
Greg Braggs, Boilers in the Stands. Matt, last year when you guys lost to Fairleigh Dickinson, you said you had to sit in it. Now, fast forward to this year, you lose in the national championship. How is that feeling? The same, or is it different? And how does it motivate you to get back to this point?
Yeah, no, it's a lot different. It's obviously a lot different to get to the Final Four and get into the championship game. It hurts because, these opportunities are slim. You say you're going to get back here, but, you want to use this as motivation to get it back here and keep growing your program. But no, it's a lot different than, last year when you put yourself in a great position and you don't take advantage of it. We put ourselves in a great position now, and we took advantage of it. We just came up a little bit short to a great team. But I told our guys in the locker room, when you have the most wins in school history, you're the first team to win back-to-back championships by multiple games since 1976, which was the last.
Well, we're joined courtside by Tristan Newton as UConn wins 75-60. Another outstanding performance in a final game. What is it about you in high-pressure situations that doesn't seem to bother you?
Yeah, I block out the crowd, except for, the UConn fans that be cheering for us. My family's courtside, and their support means a lot to me, and they boost me every time. And, obviously, coach, and he puts me in a great spots to make plays and score and, pass the ball. And, I have the best teammates in the world who make shots at great screens and, just motivate me to be better.
Rebounding is a huge part of what you do. Again, you get a bunch of rebounds in this game. 7. You get, I don't know, what is Spencer had 8 rebounds. You had 6 or 7. Whatever. Every night, the guards rebound like crazy on this team. How important is that?
Yeah, it's very important. Donovan and Sam had their hands full down there with Edie. He's a great player, and he's huge. So they was just boxing them out, and, emphasis of the game was for us to go down there and get rebounds. So, that's what it took to win the game, and that's what we did.
And to share this with your family, I know that you got a great family, and they're taking photos, and they're doing videos. How nice is that for you?
That's amazing. They've never missed one of these big games for me. They've been there my whole life. Without them, I'm not who I am. So, I appreciate and love them for that.
And winning back-to-back, when everyone said you're the number 1 team and you had a target on your back, that didn't seem to bother you guys all year. That's a tremendous accomplishment.
Yeah, not at all. We came into the year, we weren't ranked number 1. We were closer to 8 than we were, 3 or 4. So we always felt like we were the underdogs this year. We showed everybody that what we could do. And, the work that we put in and the coach that we have is just amazing. And, credit to coach for establishing that from day one since I've been here. So, people doubted us this year, and we just proved them otherwise.
We're going to miss you, and we're going to miss Cam Spencer. That dude, his intermediate game, his mid-range stuff is just tremendous.
Yeah, Cam's an amazing player. He works on it, and you see what he does night in and night out. His passion for the game is amazing. It's something I've never seen before. And, without him, we don't win this championship. So, I'm glad Cam's my teammate for this year.
All right, man. Go celebrate. Get a piece of that net.
Oh, yeah. I got mine. I'm good.
Attaboy. Tristan Newton. Wow. What a tremendous finishing game for him. The trophy being passed around, the pictures being taken. We'll be back with more coverage on the Hart Auto Group postgame show. From Brown Paint Harrison Scott, this is UConn men's basketball. The Huskies are the champs again in 2024 here on Learfield.
Calling all movers and shakers, those cranking around on crutches, the high-heeled, the ready-to-be-healed, the always on your feet. We are masters of mobility, healers of joints, muscles, bones. What moves you, moves us. We are UConn Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, where we practice what we teach. Here, academic medicine, research, and clinical care unite as one relentless power. Because together, anything is possible. Visit us at health.uconn.edu.
Big Y, your family market, is proud to be the broadcast booth sponsor of the UConn Radio Network. Whether it's a meal for two or setting up a feast for the whole team, make sure to visit your local Big Y for it all. Grab some grinders, a party-sized pizza, even sushi and sandwiches. Big Y has all the essentials to satisfy even the hungriest crew. I'm iHeartMedia's Renee Danino, reminding you that it all starts with a trip to Big Y, your family market. It's more than food. It's my Big Y.
Today's game is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. This is the UConn Sports Network from Learfield.
Every day, our hospitals are caring for Connecticut, supporting patients in hospitals and beyond, investing in communities through programs that help families with food, housing, and jobs, advocating to improve access, equity, and affordability of care. Connecticut hospitals support an extraordinary workforce and over 200,000 jobs. As hospitals face growing financial challenges, we must work together to preserve exceptional care. This message is brought to you by the Connecticut Hospital Association.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
This is UConn basketball on 97.9 WUCS. We are UConn Sports.
Zach Linfield with you from inside the network studios. Wayne Norman is roaming around a 70,000 capacity plus seat stadium, and he's just finding anyone that he can to talk to about this glorious moment in UConn history as they've gone back-to-back. The first program since Florida in 2006, 2007. Let's relocate the historian, Wayne Norman, at State Farm Stadium in Glendale. Wayne, who you got?
Here's our guy, Colin Elamine, a key member of the 1999 national champions.
That's right.
You've been there, done that. What are these guys feeling right now?
Oh, man. They're feeling a sense of relief, all the hard work. And I know it's cliche, the blood, the sweat, the tears, but they're just feeling all of that hard work paying off, right? All of those hard days of practice, all of the extra shots they take, all of those days of lifting weights, all of those practices getting their ass chewed out by Coach Dan Hurley, right? It was worth it. That's what they're saying. It was all worth it. And it's a brotherhood, man. I talked to the guys last night before the game, and I told them if they needed any more motivation, winning for the great players who didn't have an opportunity to get to a Final Four.
Like Ray Allen.
Like a Chris Smith.
Karan
Butler. A Tony Hanson, even go further way back, right? These type of plays. Yes, Courtney Thompson, right? Cliff Robinson, all of these guys, winning for them. You guys are standing on their shoulders, right? They help build this program. You guys have to win it for them. And I think it worked.
Kyle, let's compare 99 and 2024. Did this team shock the world?
No way. This team was kicking butt and taking names all season long. I just think the best team won it this year. And we were truly the underdogs in 99, but we carried ourselves as if we weren't the underdogs. And we had that mentality. These guys had a great team from head to toe, and they proved that they were the best team.
Colin, you were the point guard of the 99 team.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the way this point guard, Tristan Newton, played, especially tonight?
No, it was great, man. It's phenomenal to see his growth since he got here to this year. He's always been a solid guy, a guy who's able to make shots, but he did a great job controlling the game today, I thought, getting everybody involved. And he's a big-time player. He steps up on the biggest stages, and that's what you want from your point guard.
Love to see you, buddy. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Colin Elamine. And here's Emek Okafor, who we talked to on the court last year after the national championship in Houston. Is this the best UConn team ever?
This
even better than 04?
I'm biased. I'm biased, right? But hey, it's an amazing feat. They really you know, I saw it early in the season. You know, I saw the continuity, and I was like, hey, man, these guys they have a shot.
And tell me your view as a big man of the battle of the bigs today and how Donovan and Sampson tried to contain Zach Edey, 37 points.
Yeah, you know, they did a good job. I think, you know, it might have been a little bit like, you know, Zach ate, but the rest of the team didn't, and it worked in our favor, right? We had a little bit more balanced attack. You know, Zach had a lot to carry. He had to carry the load offensively, defensively, and I think that's a very tough thing to do. So I'm not sure exactly what the exact game plan was, but it worked. It was a significant victory, and major props to Edey. He did phenomenal.
How would you have guarded him?
I would have tried to do the same thing, and you know, it might have had some very similar results. But at the end of the day, as long as UConn was cutting down the nets at the end, it didn't matter.
And the one thing about this team, they have ways to beat you. You take one thing away, they'll find another. And they did it again tonight.
They did it again tonight. There's multiple places to attack and exploit. And, I mean, it was a beauty to watch.
Pleasure to see you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
A member of the 2004 national champs, Emeka Okafor.
Zach Linfield back with you inside the network studios. We're still waiting on Dan Hurley and a couple of UConn athletes at the presser, but a good reason why we're waiting. They're currently still cutting down the nets in Glendale at State Farm Stadium. Let's go over the stats one more time as UConn takes the Natty 75-60 against Purdue. They do it by shooting 48% from the floor. Tristan Newton led the way with 20. Steph Castle, the freshman guard. And we don't know the future yet for Steph Castle, although John Ashby, our engineer, and I were talking pregame. He did take Alex Karaban as his MVP. I did take Steph, so I think I get the point over John when it comes to that. But Donovan Clingan with 11, Cam Spencer with 11, and Alex Karaban did have 5 points off the bench for the Huskies. Hassan Diarra, 9 points in 13 minutes. Boy, was he great tonight after not scoring in the national semifinal game on Saturday. And I'll tell you what, Samson Johnson had 4 points. They were on back-to-back alley-oop buckets. His plus-minus was 3. He would foul out, only playing 5 minutes, but in those 5 minutes, he played tremendous defense against Zach Edey, who, for the 10th time this season, Zach Edey scored 30 points or more. He led the way for the Boilermakers with 37 points, and you could see the frustration on his face in the postgame presser before Matt Painter took the questions. It was him and Braden Smith. Matt Painter opened the presser with his opening comment saying, in the Big Ten and throughout their non-conference schedule, Purdue had seen really good defenders. However, pretty much just 1 or maybe 2 per team. He said UConn was bringing lockdown defenders off the bench, talking about Hassan Diarra, Samson Johnson, and the supporting cast of the starting 5 that UConn played with. They were fantastic tonight defensively. Zach Edey, 7'4", he's off to the NBA after his final game in a Boilermaker uniform. He leaves the winningest Purdue Boilermaker of all time, making NCAA tournaments in all 4 of his years. The next leading scorer was Braden Smith. He was also on the podium, had nothing but great things to say about his teammate, Zach Edey. Smith is a sophomore, so he'll be back for another season. He had 12 on 4 of 12 from the floor. Other starting 5 members for Purdue. Fletcher Lawyer went scoreless on 5 shots, 1 from downtown. He would only grab 2 boards. By the way, Edey had a double-double with 10 rebounds. He would also block away 2 different shots. I'm pretty sure he had 3 of them, but the official stats end up saying 2. Trey Kaufman-Renn, the 4, he scored 4 points, and Lance Jones, he scored 5 off the bench, just 2 points. That was Camden Heide on what was the dunk of the tournament. And if Purdue was on top, you would have heard likely one of the loudest crowd pops of all time come through our mic. 24 of 54 from the floor for Purdue. That's good for 44.5%. But here's the stat of the game for me. When we came in, Purdue, the second best three-point shooting team in the country, they go 1 of 7 from beyond the arc. They did not make a three-pointer in half number 2. That's the lowest number of three-pointers for Purdue on the season. They had hit 3 different times. UConn plus 140, the best point differential in NCAA tournament history. Zach Edey inched his way into 3rd most points in NCAA tournament history behind 2 other Big Ten members. I tried to pull that off of the TBS monitor. However, Glenn Rice from Michigan was the top scorer of all time. We've got a couple more interviews upcoming. Wayne Norman, I believe just moments ago, he grabbed Luke Murray. So Wayno coming through right now. and we will send it back to State Farm Stadium with Wayne Norman.
And here's UConn assistant coach Luke Murray. Luke, you are the scout for this game. You're the one that told the players what to expect, how to play Purdue. Now in retrospect, how did it work out?
It went exactly to plan. It really did. We felt like coming into the game, we really wanted to try to make everything as difficult as we could on Edey, but at the same time, we were okay with the idea of him getting 25 or 28 points. Their offensive efficiency really doesn't fluctuate much based on his production. He's always good, but even when he's great, it's pretty much the same. Where they really become dangerous is when the three-point line factors in. So we really sold out to defend the three and take away guys like Lawyer and Smith and Jones, and that's exactly what happened.
In a funny kind of way, was that 8 for 11 three-point shooting by Alabama in the first half on Saturday a factor here, because in the second half and tonight's first two halves, you played much better three-point defense?
I don't know. It's different. Alabama is a team that takes, a really high number of threes.
48 in one game.
Yeah, that's really who they are systematically. Even in that game, they were 8 of 11, but they're averaging well over 30 threes per game. I think for the game they shot 22 threes. So even though their percentage was high, the volume came way down. So that was key for us. In this game, they're a little bit different because obviously they throw the ball inside to Edey almost every time down. But they were the number 2 three-point shooting team in the country coming into the game, percentage-wise. And those guys are dangerous players when a lot of times they get their threes off of double teams. So we wanted to play one-on-one in the post, especially when Donovan was in there, and worked out beautifully.
You didn't double him very much.
No, not much at all. I mean, we did when Sampson was in the game, just from a physicality standpoint. We felt that was necessary. We had Cam doubling off Camden Hayden and returning to his own game, which I thought worked well. But yeah, we felt like Donovan playing one-on-one on the post, staying out of foul trouble, and guarding the three was the key.
You've been a balanced team all year, 5 players averaging double figures, and you showed that balance again tonight, and it was basically Zede, maybe Smith, that was it. Was your balance a big difference in this game?
I think so. I mean, he's such a tremendous player, Edey. He's the National Player of the Year back-to-back for a reason. But again, we pride ourselves on our collective, and having 5 guys in double figures and having great contributions off the bench from guys like Diarra and Sampson and Stewart. And so I think that's been our strength all year long. The fact that any night, somebody steps up.
Luke, I won't ask you about the first 4 UConn champions, but you've been on the staff for the last 2, 23 and 24. Which one's the best?
As much as I loved last year's team, and I never thought anything would top it, I said it to the guys last night. In life, you very rarely win everything. There's always something that you could have won, another stage that you could have gotten to in life or in work. These guys, the Empire Classic, the Big East regular season, the Big East Conference Tournament, the East Regional, the Final Four, the National Championship. If there was a title to win, they won it. So, to me, that's hard to beat.
Luke, I admire the scouting work that you and Kamani have done. You're a big part of what just happened. Congratulations, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Wayne.
That's UConn assistant coach Luke Murray.
Yeah, that is Luke Murray postgame. UConn wins it 75-60 against Purdue as the Huskies, they go back-to-back. First team since Florida in 2006 and 2007. I believe Wayne Norman also has Cam Spencer here in the postgame. We'll hear from Cam Spencer coming up in just a moment.
And here's Cam Spencer, 1 year at UConn after coming here from Rutgers, and this is pretty much why you came here, isn't it?
100%. This was the goal from day one, and to finally accomplish it is so special, especially to do it with this group of teammates and coaches. I'm just so thankful for all of them.
Tristan Newton, the Final Four most outstanding player. Just talk about his overall game, what he brought to the table tonight.
Oh man, he does so many things to impact winning for us. He's a great teammate. He scores the ball, passes well, plays defense, rebounds. He does it all. So he just makes us as teammates look so much better out there on the floor with him.
Cam, how about the battle of the bigs? Not just Donovan and Sampson going against Edey, but they're plus 11.7 on the glass, and UConn beat him by about 10 on the boards today. That's a win-win for UConn.
Yeah, I mean Zach Edey and Purdue, they're hats off to them. They had a hell of a year. And I'm sure they'll be back here in the future. But, just credit to them. We knew it would be a battle all night long with Zach being the 2-time National Player of the Year. And, Donovan did a great job. But, everybody just left it all out there on the floor.
Cam, you're one of the veterans on this team, and you took over early. I think you scored 7 of UConn's first 11 points. Is that sort of part of your game plan? I'm going to take it right to these guys off the tap?
I just try to let the game come to me. And there are a few opportunities that, I took advantage of and, was able to knock down some shots early. My teammates had my back all the rest of the game. So, credit to the team.
Cam, speaking for the radio network and the radio audience, You've been a pleasure to watch this year. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's UConn's Cam Spencer, a 2024 national champion.
That's right, Wayne Norman. Cam Spencer absolutely is after a few seasons elsewhere. One season at Rutgers where he played Purdue, and he actually hit a buzzer-beater shot to knock off Purdue when they were the number one team in the country a year ago. And he finishes with 11 points, 5 of 12 from the floor, 1 of 4 from downtown, and UConn's 75-60 victory against Purdue tonight at State Farm Stadium. We're still awaiting the post-game press conference. It's going to be Dan Hurley, the most valuable player Tristan Newton, freshman guard Steph Castle, and the aforementioned Cam Spencer. That all comes after this as UConn wins 75-60, back-to-back national champions. From Brown, Panderas, and Scott, this is UConn men's basketball from Learfield.
Are you traveling out of Bradley Airport and need a safe, reliable place to park your car? Trust your vehicle to Laz Fly Off-Airport Parking, located on Route 75 in Windsor Locks. They have both valet and self-park options to fit any budget. Laz Fly is open 24 hours a day and will get you to the airport on time, every time. Join their loyalty program to earn points for free parking, and be sure to ask about their corporate discounts. Save 20% by pre-booking online at lazfly.com. Laz Fly is the official parking company and a proud supporter of UConn Athletics.
Dunkin' is dropping a new kind of energy. I'm Mike Crispino, voice of the Huskies, introducing Sparked Energy by Dunkin'. It's energy for the fun of it. Available in 2 full-on delicious flavors, Berry Burst and Peach Sunshine. It's what you need when your afternoon needs you to get going. A revitalizing burst of caffeine, vitamins, and minerals gives you the energy to turn the fun up to 11. True story. Drop by or order ahead on the Dunkin' app. Fruit-flavored, contains 0% fruit juice, caffeine from caffeine and guarana. Participation may vary. Limited time offer, terms apply.
This is the National Championship Game on the UConn Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, Greg and Tom Hart. The Hart Automotive Group is a proud supporter of UConn Athletics. And for any of your automotive needs, we're only a heartbeat away. You'll find Hart dealerships in Hartford, West Haven, and we've got you covered in Meriden and Wallingford. We have a strong lineup: Nissan, Infiniti, and Volkswagen. Plus, we make it easy. A great place to start when you want to shop at Hart. Log on, hartcars.com. And one more thing to say, go Huskies.
Brown, Panderas, and Scott is proud to sponsor today's UConn broadcast. UConn athletes excel because they practice hard, understand the rules of the game, and execute their coaches' game plans to perfection. At BPS Lawyers, we too recognize that dedication, hard work, and diligence are as important as the personal service we provide our clients. With Brown, Panderas, and Scott, you get more than a lawyer. You get a law firm. Visit us at bpslawyers.com. That's bpslawyers.com. Nick Panderas approved the content of this message.
The Dunks are on us. Husky Hoops on 97.9 WUCS. We are UConn Sports.
Zach Linfield back with you inside the Learfield Network studios. Dan Hurley, Tristan Newton, Steph Castle, and Cam Spencer still have yet to take the stage at State Farm Stadium inside the guts of that 70,000-plus capacitized stadium out in Glendale, Arizona. 75-60 is the UConn final score. Back-to-back national champions and the first program to do it since 2006, 2007, when the Florida Gators out of the SEC did it. Last time that the Big East and the Big Ten met up in the national championship game was a 2018-2019 season when Villanova knocked off Michigan, when Dante DiVincenzo lit up John Beilein's Wolverines. The final score for us is 75-60. Let's listen back into a couple of the more important pieces of this game. Steph Castle, after a fantastic night on Saturday against Alabama, he was all over it again, especially on the offensive glass. And the freshman guard, whose future is undecided with UConn, was able to not get a tip in to go up 6 after the break.
Back to Newton. 10 to shoot, 50 seconds left in the half. Newton on the drive, goes up high and missed the shot. Batted around by Castle. He tipped it in. Oh, Steph stormed the Castle that time. And UConn leads 36-30.
Tristan Newton, who was the MVP of last year's tournament victory over San Diego State, he was all over it again. He was UConn's leading scorer, 20 points on 6 of 13 from the field. He would be the only athlete on the floor tonight to knock in multiple three-pointers. He goes 2 for 5. Purdue had just 1 three-pointer on the night as a third-best three-point shooting team in the country. Also 6 for 6 from the free throw line, 5 boards, 7 assists. He would pick up 2 fouls. In 39 minutes of gameplay, he would lead the bunch of Huskies. Tristan Newton, in order to put the UConn Huskies up by double digits, 51-38. Tristan all the way to the rack.
Clingan with a hand up to Diarra. Now Spencer spins right off the screen of Clingan. Into the paint. Deals it to Caravan. Caravan can't get a shot off. Back to Newton. Now they're down to 6. They're down to 5. Newton stop and go. He attacks Edey. Put it in! Oh, what a shot! That was magic! Tristan Newton.
13-point lead at that point. Tristan Newton again with 20 points. And he's likely going to be off to the NBA as well, playing his final year of eligibility in college basketball. Started at East Carolina and was fantastic for UConn these past 2 years. Back-to-back most valuable player receipts for Tristan Newton as he walks away, one of the all-time greats at UConn. Speaking of transfers, after 1 year at Rutgers, Cam Spencer, man, that patented mid-range shot. He also found his stroke from 3 in this tournament. Cam Spencer to put UConn up by their largest margin of the day.
Fires to Spencer. Spencer back to the right on the screen by Caravan. Time running out. Spencer in the paint. Fadeaway shot. Good. Oh, baby. A patented fadeaway by Spencer.
Mike Crispino said it perfectly there. That patented fadeaway. Cam Spencer gets into the lane. Typically a couple of head fakes, and eventually the crafty Cam Spencer will find the ball falling through the net. Cam Spencer, 11 points. He matches Donovan Clingan with 11, Steph Castle, 15, Tristan Newton with 20, and off the bench, Hassan Diarra with 9. Well, let's rejoin the voice of the Huskies, Mike Crispino. Mike, you're back in Glendale. Just the team in front of you. Just tell the listeners that maybe weren't watching on television what it was like to watch this team as dominant as they were, not only just tonight, but this entire season, and what was likely the best team in program history.
It's hard to say that because they've had so many great teams. They've had 5 previous national champions, but this year was really special. It's an overused word, but UConn won 37 games, lost only 3 times. And on the road, were the losses. All of them. They found ways every night to win. The word dominant didn't get into play really until the postseason, but yeah, they won by double figures all 6 games in this tournament, 12 in a row in NCAA tournament play. That tells you that, they've been that much better than the opponents. And it's hard to say that. I mean, you got to go back to UNLV, maybe the Duke teams of the early 90s. That had that much advantage over their opponents. So, yeah, it was special for me, certainly, to be back here doing it and to be part of it. Just a great bunch of personalities, great coaching staff, always willing to help and be cooperative. And it's just a close-knit bunch. And we're just lucky to be part of it. And, I never thought I'd be part of a national championship broadcast, but I was last year. And then this year they kept winning, and I said, well, maybe again, who knows? It's so hard to repeat. I mean, it's so hard to back up what they did last year, but they ended up winning, 68 of their last 79 games going back to last year. That's 68-11. So when you're winning that much and you're winning at home big, and you're getting wins on the road, it kind of adds up to the possibility you might make a run in the NCAA tournament. And they did. And they backed up what they did last year, which was impressive.
Right. Cam Spencer and the fellas are on the stage right now, Mike, so we're going to step away from you for just a moment. Cam Spencer was just asked about the recruiting process of being brought to UConn, so here's Cam Spencer and a couple of the Huskies.
With every day is just, really special right now.
Continuing with questions for the UConn student athletes, second row, Wall Street Journal.
Robert O'Connell, Wall Street Journal. This one's for Cam. There was a moment there, Cam, sorry, right here in the middle. There was a moment there where I think you got a foul called on you and you were maybe looking for a jump ball or something, and you were running around and coach kind of calmed you down, kept you from maybe getting a tee or something like that. I'm curious, how often is that going in that direction and not you guys having to calm coach down about not going too nuts on the sideline?
Yeah, I think, we're two similar personalities, but, I was going for the offensive rebound and felt like I had the ball and, just heat of the moment reaction. But, luckily I have coach to have my back and calm me down, because I probably would have gotten a technical if I didn't calm down. So, yeah.
If you have a question for the UConn student athletes, please raise your hand. Let's go to the third row on the right side.
Nick Lawrence of Mid-Major Madness. Cam, so you came into college, you only had one scholarship offer. You went to Loyola. Your first year, you were the first team in the whole country to get eliminated from conference tournaments. Just talk about the trials and tribulations to get here, get that win. And also, you have some nice hardware up against your brother. He's won the Tawart, and now you are national champion. Just talk about that with your brother, a little relationship there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here without my brother. Having 4 years ahead of me, I've always been able to watch him, kind of grow up and go through similar experiences that I'm now going through. So, like I said, I wouldn't be here without him, and I'm just so thankful for all the, work he's helped me put in. And, I can't say enough about my family, and, I wouldn't be here without them. So thankful.
Next question's for Adam, and Adam, hang on to the microphone when you're done.
Yeah, for all three of you guys, Adam Zagori, NJ.com, I think the UConn guards outscored the Purdue guards 55-17. How much going into the game was it your mindset to kind of control and disrupt their guards, and how proud of you are the fact that you dominated them 55-17?
Adam, pass the mic to your left, and we'll ask Cam to take that, then Stefan, and then Tristan.
Yeah, go first. Yeah.
It was a big part of our game plan, just trying to limit as much as we can from the guards, and I feel like we did a good job at that. And, just playing confident on the other end, I feel like Coach put us in great positions to be successful all night, and it worked out for us.
Tristan.
Yeah, we knew he was going to get his points, and, it took him 25 shots to get 37 points. So, that was a game plan, just limit the guards. And, Steph, Cam, Haas, when he got in there, they did great jobs on the guards and, limiting them and their impact.
Cam, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, obviously, coming in, we knew Zach Edey's a tough guy to stop. We wanted to make him work for everything, but, I think the coaches made a point that we'd be really locked in if, we could control their three-point attempts. And, I think holding them to 7, we were really just locked in on, not letting those other guys get involved in the game. And I think, Steph and Tristan and all the guards did a great job.
In the center of the room, please raise your hand for us.
Hi, Adi Joseph, CBS Sports. Did you guys, and this is for any of you, did you expect them to back off three-pointers? Like, you just talked about how you defended them, but did you actually expect that they would simply not take them, that they would show that, I guess, discipline and react to how you were defending them, or did that come as a surprise to you?
Tristan, can you take that one for us?
We watch that film, and they get their three-pointers off, people going down there and helping on Edey. The coaches did a great job game planning and made sure that that was a focus on that we didn't leave the three-point line and let Edey do his damage, because, he only shoots 2s, he shoots no 3s. So if he makes 15 2s like he did today, that's 30, and then where the rest of the points going to come from. So, they did a great job of scouting, and, credit to them.
If you have a question for the student athletes from UConn, please raise your hand. We'll send the microphone to you. All right, we'll take one in the back of the room on the right side.
Andy Dorff, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Talk about your guys' on-the-ball pressure, just relentless throughout the whole game, and how you made it so daunting for those guys to basically get any shot up.
Stefan, can you take that one, please?
I feel like our post defense started with, pressuring the ball and just trying to limit, just easy catches for Edey. So, I feel like our coaches did a great job with the scout, and I feel like we executed it well, and it worked out for us.
Final question for the UConn student athletes all the way right. Can't get any further right.
This is Richard Smith with Independent News Media here in Phoenix. This question's for Tristan. Something Coach talked about on Saturday was how this team never lost its drive. They didn't act like they were the defending champions. They kept their focus. They were hungry. How much did you take it on yourself to set that kind of tone for the team? And then when did you realize that these guys were as locked in as the team was last year, if not more? Was it even before the season started?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take any credit for setting the tone. That was all coach. Last year was last year. It's not defending. That trophy, 23 trophy is in the crib, and coach office, nobody can take that from him. So, this is a whole different year, and we had goals, winning 5 championships, and, we got all those done. So, credit coach to set the tone, and everybody just follows his lead.
We want to congratulate Cam, Stefan, and Tristan. They're going to head back to the locker room. The UConn locker room is open until at least 10:05. And Coach, we'll ask you to make an opening statement, then we'll take some questions.
Yeah, first off, just like I said, I think yesterday was a privilege to share the court with Matt Painter and Purdue, one of the top programs in the country, one of the best coaches in the country, and just total class, class personified across the board with those guys. So, obviously, what could you say? We won by a lot again.
Next question's for Eddie. We're going to have to hustle to bring him a microphone. Eddie, raise your hand. Thanks, Eddie.
Yes, Coach, you won by a lot again. Congrats. Eddie Pels from AP. After they made their 1 3-pointer, you hopped off the bench and called a timeout. I know you were in quite a lather that, but I mean, was that specifically about making sure this doesn't become a trend?
Well, that was a late clock mistake. Braden had it with 3 on the clock, and he used the ball screen, and in such a late shot clock situation, like Donovan needed to get up there high and eliminate the attempt. But just the game plan and Luke, Luke for a day and a half prep to have us as ready as he did defensively for that game was just impressive. We obviously, we didn't want to give up threes. We didn't care if Zach took 25, 28 shots to get 30, 35 points. This whole game plan was no Smith, no Lawyer, no Gillis, no Jones. Keep that collective group under 18, 20 points as a group. They had no chance to win, no matter how well Zach played.
Up front, Pete.
Dan, Pete Thamel from ESPN. You won your 6 games in this tournament by 140 points. That's more than any team. You really haven't backed away as you've dominated through this, speaking of your dominance. So I'm just curious, do you feel like this is a historic team, and do you feel like this is one of the greatest teams of all time?
I think it's up there in terms of the greatest 2-year runs that a program's maybe ever had, just because I don't want to. I guess I can't say anything about Duke because I'm going to piss my brother off. But I guess I could say stuff about Florida. But I love Billy Donovan, so I'm in a bad spot. I just think it's the best 2-year run, I think, in a very, very long time, just because of everything we lost from last year's team. To lose that much and again, to do what we did again, it's got to be as impressive a 2-year run as a program's had since prior to whoever did it before Duke. To me, it is more impressive than what Florida and Duke did because they brought back their entire teams, and we lost some major players.
To the left of the aisle, Coach, field of 68.
Dan, Mike Miller, field of 68. I'll give you an opening. Afterward, Jay Wright said it was the most dominant team he can remember. So that gives you a chance there. Is that what you're going to be making your mark on? Dominance, nothing but dominance. Is that going to be the standard going forward? Is it a standard you can reach every year?
Yeah, I know things are going to be a little crazy for the next 10 days. Unfortunately, we're going to head into the portal. Like everybody else now, I've been dreading this moment. But now we're here. We'll enjoy this for a couple days. But then, we're going to on the flight home tomorrow, we'll start talking about, what the roster is going to look like. Obviously, we graduate some players. We're going to lose a couple potentially to the NBA early entry, and we're going to dive in and put together a roster that can play a comparable level of basketball to the one that you guys have witnessed the last 2 years. I know what our mindset will be. We're going to be focusing on trying to put together, a 3-year run, not just a 2-year run.
Front row on the left side, Coach.
Hi, Coach. Jake Fenner, Daily Mail. To piggyback off of a previous question, to accomplish this feat in this era of NIL and the transfer portal, it almost could be considered something entirely different and entirely particularly special with the way the landscape currently is. Do you think that winning 2 in a row in this era is something that could be replicated again? And do you think that because you won in this era, it deserves to be held in a different regard?
Yeah, I think that's probably for you guys to decide. I think, it's obviously it's a special run. We're gonna maintain a championship culture. We're bringing in some very talented high school freshmen. Our returning players through player development will take a big jump, and then we'll strategically add through the portal. So I don't think that we're going anywhere.
Front row left.
Brett Friedlander, SaturdayRoad.com. Dan, you mentioned your brother. He won back-to-back titles as a player. You've done it as a coach now. And could you put in perspective how incredible that is that 2 guys in the same family have done this? And what does it mean to your family?
Yeah, it's incredible. I think it's incredible to join Bob in that club. And it just Bob was in the arena tonight. He wanted to kind of stay out of the camera lens, so it was he was in a box, enjoying the comfort of that tonight. So it was just awesome to have him here for that. And then obviously my dad. It's like my dad. I think he looks at me and he looks at my brother and he sees us coaching in college and what it would have looked like for him if he was doing it. So I know it means a lot to me and Bob to again, we're the version of my father that would be coaching in college. We're, even after back-to-back for me, I'm still just a worse version of him.
Up front on the left side.
A little bit worse. I'm getting better, and I'm coming for him.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. We've asked you about the potential to repeat. Now that you've done it, Dan, does this feel different?
It doesn't. It really doesn't. It's the same, feeling that you have. You just feel so light right now. And you know what though? Maybe it feels a little bit better because it's like the last thing. Knowing how great this team's been, we've taken, we've worn the everything shirt the whole year, and everyone in this organization gave everything so that we could win everything this year. The MTE that we were in, the Big East regular season, the Big East tournament, the regional, and the national championship. So we wanted to give everything so that we could win absolutely everything. And the thought of
Joe Biden. Zach Linfield with you inside the Learfield Network studios. Per usual, playing the post-game press conference here off of YouTube. So we'll be back in just a few seconds. UConn wins at 75-60. Final few questions with Dan Hurley.
Cam Spencer and Steph Castle.
Likely the final question on the left side, left of the aisle. Dan.
Dan Wolkin, USA Today. Dan, I hope I don't misquote you, but you said out on the court something about UConn giving you all the resources you need. Can we interpret that to mean you intend to be back at UConn next year? You're not going to entertain any conversations with anybody else that might have a job coming open tomorrow?
Yeah. I don't think that's a concern. My wife, you should have her answer that. Yeah.
We can maybe arrange a press conference for Mrs. Hurley in the morning. Congratulations, Coach.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, she'll answer that question better.
Zach Linfield back with you inside the network studios. Dan Hurley just caught a Frisbee on his way off the stand as he throws it back into the crowd of media. and he made a right-handed catch again. Wayno, you got something to tell us?
Yeah, I got a story about that. In fact, he was sitting right next to me both of these games here. Adam Zagoria, who asked one of the questions earlier, the writer from New Jersey on several different platforms, he actually had the Frisbee. It's a tradition that they've done with Hurley because, he knows him, Jersey guy and all that. And even before the game today, I'm talking a half an hour before the game, he was trying to get a picture of Tom Moore, the UConn assistant, holding that Frisbee. And I don't know why, but Tom didn't want to get involved in that. There was a little friendly exchange and so forth. But I asked Adam what that was about, and he basically said that that's what he does. He did it after the press conference after Saturday's game, where when it was done, he just throws the Frisbee up there. He's part of Ultimate Frisbee, so he carries this thing around. He's done it for 30 years, he said. So that's why when the thing was over today, he flipped the Frisbee up on the stage. It's a totally useless story after the dominance of a UConn national championship, but that explains what you just saw, Zach.
Wait, so you're saying that Dan Hurley is superstitious?
Oh, very. Well, one thing I don't know, he eats 8 M&Ms before every game, and I don't know, and he doesn't eat the M&Ms that are the color of the opponent.
I don't know, was it yellow? Yellow today, or maybe the brown?
I don't know what.
Well, there are no black M&Ms.
Right. There are dark brown, though. I think the dark brown ones he carved out today.
Chocolate color. Yeah, that makes sense. But, for example, I guarantee you that on Saturday night before UConn played Alabama, he did not have a single red M&M before the game. And it worked pretty well.
And no orange before Illinois. I don't know, maybe if he had Skittles before the Northwestern game, because I don't think there are any purple M&Ms.
You know, Zach, I have broadcast all 6 UConn national championship games, and M&Ms have only been talked about after one of them.
This one.
Okay. Yeah, this one.
Well, we'll keep it in Glendale, Arizona. When we come back, we're going to take our final break here after 10 seconds for station identification as UConn wins at 75-60. They are the back-to-back champs, the first program since Florida in 06-07. From Brown, Payne, Dearest, and Scott, this is UConn Hoops from Learfield.
97.9 WUCS. WUCS Windsor Locks Hartford. WUCS HD1 Windsor Locks. Available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app.
Keeping you ahead of severe weather is the most important thing we do. Hi, I'm Channel 3 Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Mark Dixon.
And I'm Meteorologist Scott Haney. We're doubling down on our commitment to you with something you won't see anywhere else. First Alert Weather.
It's our promise to alert you as far in advance as possible.
Simply put, when we know, you know.
So you have more time to plan, prepare, and to keep your family safe.
This is why we First Alert.
Planning a move? Let Lippincott Van Lines, the official mover of the UConn Huskies, take the worry and stress out of your relocation. Whether you're moving across the country, across the world, or just across the street, Lippincott Van Lines will handle your packing, moving, and storage needs with the care and quality they deserve. If the UConn Huskies football team can trust Lippincott to get their gear to the field on time, you can trust them to get your items where they need to be. Call Lippincott Van Lines today for a free estimate at 800-245-8563.
Today's game is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. This is the UConn Sports Network from Learfield.
This is Two Pros and a Cup of Joe.
Do you want to know the real reason why we're trying to incorporate kickoffs more into the game? It's about scoring. Scoring was down last year. And any way we can figure out a way of incentivizing a special teams play that could create a return, that could increase better field position, that could potentially create a touchdown, that would be advantageous to scoring. So not only are we trying to slowly tweak even where the touchback and the reward for the offense is given where they start getting the football, but also we're trying to incorporate explosive plays that could even equate to more scoring. That to me is really one of the underlying issues for a league that needed more scoring last year. The unders hit at a record pace during the course of the regular season.
Two Pros. LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and a Cup of Joe. Jonas Knox. 6 a.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio.
Zach Linfield with you back inside the network studios. UConn, the defending national champions. They defend their crown 75-60 to 60. And in just a moment, we'll send it back out to State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, where Wayne Norman took in the eclipse today. He watched it. His retinas didn't burn. He's got superpowers. I don't know. Maybe he'll tell us what his favorite flavor of M&M is, too. How about it, Wayno?
Chocolate. But let's leave that topic behind. It was 70% here, by the way, and it was pretty cool. Did not get dark. Did not cool off. It was like 70 degrees. But
well, UConn repeating, Wayne.
Thank you for getting it
hasn't been done. It hasn't been done since Florida. When the season began, there was talk about it, but I don't think anyone really thought UConn could do it. They were, I don't know, what were they nationally? Maybe 8th in terms of the preseason.
They were picked 3rd in the Big East.
Yeah, the Big East alone. So, that's typical, though. They lost 5 players out of their 8 top players. Who knew Cam Spencer would have such an impact? Who knew Steph Castle would be as good as he was in the clutch? And so they were able to pull it together with Klingon playing more minutes and Samson Johnson doing his thing off the bench. And I think Hassan Diarra was one of the major surprises this year. He went from hardly playing in the tournament run last year to playing a major role off the bench, averaging 20 minutes, sometimes scoring double figures, playing great defense, and making key shots. No one saw that one coming. Certainly I didn't, and I'm happy for him because he's a great guy.
I would add to that, though, Mike, that when it came to the bench role that Diarra played this year, well, they had more guys who came off the bench in the guard position last year. Aline went to St. John's. He was gone. Calcaterra, eligibility expired. So that meant more minutes for Diarra. And to speak to your point, he delivered. He was really good at both ends of the court.
Yeah, big time. And Newton wasn't even going to come back to the team. We didn't know. He was trying to pursue some professional basketball things, and he decided to come back at the last second. I think Dan Hurley probably had something to do with that, and Tristan delivered in a big way. Think about it. I mean, he could have been thinking about other things professionally or whatever. He came back to a team that he didn't know what it was about. He didn't know who was on the team except for Caravan and Klingon, right? He comes back to that, and he is one of the key factors for this team winning another championship.
National Point Guard of the Year, and this kind of brings back an audio cut that we played from a press conference at halftime of Saturday's game. When I asked Coach Hurley, I said that, is Tristan Newton a better point guard this year than last year? I said he understands the plays better. He knows where the guys are going to be. He knows where to get them the ball. And Dan took that and ran with it. He gave a really good, I want to say 90-second answer, and he basically talked about how much better Tristan Newton has become. And here's an example of a guy, if he's going to play professionally down the road, and let's, knock on wood as far as the NBA, I'm not sure about that, but he increased his stock in a professional career more so than if he would have left after last year's national championship. And he winds up being the MOP, most outstanding player of the Final Four.
Yeah, so a lot of questions going forward, but let's enjoy the moment, right? 6 wins by double figures, 12 in 2 years. I think that's a record, or close to anyway. UConn was just better than everybody by more than double figures, and that is a tremendous accomplishment that's going to take a while before somebody's able to match that.
Yeah, and just to speak of that double figure thing, the dominance this team had. They blew out 6 teams in last year's NCAA tournament, and while Alabama hung around for a little while, mid-second half, UConn pulled away. They still won by, 14 points or so. So the fact this team has won these 6 straight in each year NCAA tournament games by such a resounding margin, I think speaks to the point that not only A, is this team the best team in UConn history, but one of the more dominating teams in NCAA history.
Yeah, you're starting to win me over on that argument about UConn history for sure. I mean, UCLA in the 60s, 70s was pretty dominant. 67 to 73, they won 6 in a row. But UConn here in the modern era to win back-to-back like they've won and by that much of a margin, that's pretty impressive. That puts them up there in the conversation, to me, with UCLA.
I don't think you heard it, Mike, but I talked to Emeka Okafor, 2004 Final Four MVP when UConn won its second national championship, and I fired that question at him. It's going to be asked, and I thought I'd ask him. I said, all right, Emeka, your team was darn good. You had Ben, Emeka, and Talik, and Rashad, and Charlie, and Denham, and all those guys. But I said, is this the best UConn team ever? And he hesitated a second, and he basically said yes. If Emeka Okafor says it, I'm buying into it.
Yeah, exactly. He was part of that 04 team. All right, thanks to Wayne Norman. John Ashmead, our engineer, has been riding alongside with us. Super job. Zach Linfield as well. And thanks to our sponsors this year, Key Bank, BPS Lawyers, Big Y, Dime Bank. We thank them for their support. UConn Sports Properties with Tom Murphy, Bill Daughtry, and Heidi Tapton and Kylie and Abby, and they're just so supportive of us and doing the things that need to be done to make this all work. Our affiliates, WILI, WICH, WGCH, WAVZ, and our iHeart flagship Fox Sports 97.9 WUCS, led by Steve Honeycomb. Our UConn head of sales, Joe Madden, and station PD, Ben Darnell. They're just so important to what goes on the air and these games all the way across from when we begin with football all the way through the end of baseball for sure. And to behind the scenes folks at Learfield Operations, Network Manager Aaron Brunk, Network Coordinator David Kahn, excellent. Our outstanding producer, our studio host, our MVP, Zach Linfield. He's been terrific all season long. And to the men's basketball program, especially Director of Basketball Ops, Paul Wedman. He's got all the bases covered day in and day out, and it's not an easy job. And the first-year SID, Bobby Mullen, as a rookie, really did a great job. Certainly a rookie at UConn, but an experienced guy coming in, so thanks to him. And the coaching staff, led by head coach Dan Hurley, of course, for the Coaches Show every week with us. And the entire team, once again, has captured the state's imagination and the world of college basketball. Kudos, thanks to all, including, again, John Ashmead, our engineer, and Wayne Norman. He's got 6 rings. He's got 10 fingers. Is he going to stick around long enough to put one on every finger? That's my question.
He sure didn't answer the question tonight, but nonetheless, he certainly has built a powerhouse. And I still look back to those 2 first-round losses from 3 and 4 years ago and how he was able to rebuild the roster. He sort of changed his offensive approach and, to a degree, a defensive approach. And, of course, the best coaches can recruit. And we've seen between the high school kids and the transfer portal, Dan Hurley knows what he's doing.
All right, that's Wayne Norman. I'm Mike Crispino, and our most important thank you, all obviously, is to all of you, our listeners. Without you, none of it's possible. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening all season long, and celebrate another Connecticut basketball championship, number 6. They were in the mix for 6, and they delivered here tonight, 75-60 over Purdue. We'll see you again soon. I'm Mike Crispino. Thanks to all.
Yep, thanks, Mike, Wayne, John Ashmead, guys. You guys are fantastic, especially for being a first year on my end as well. 75-60 is the final. Mike, Wayne, and John signing off back there at State Farm Stadium. Well, it's been the motto all year. This was everything, and next, it's the mission for 7. And for those listening in stores, stay up late and enjoy, Huskies. You have proved that you are the basketball capital of the world, and you have just won the 2024 National Championship.
No, they get it into Jane Ross. That doesn't. UConn wins it 86-72. A 4-point lead turns into a 14-point win.
UConn wins it 75-60 over Purdue. For Mike Crispino, Wayne Norman, and our engineer and a new friend, John Ashmead, special thank you to Bob Joyce, Adam Giardino, Chris Giantonio, and Dev Fisk for their contribution through the athletic season on the network and their help in open arms to a first-year studio host from Michigan. Zach Linfield from the Learfield Network Studios saying so long on the Hart Auto Group postgame show. You've been listening to the UConn Sports Network, men's basketball from Learfield, presented by Brown, Penderas, and Scott.
You've been listening to UConn Huskies men's basketball on the UConn Sports Network, presented by Brown, Penderas, and Scott. Today's game has been sponsored by Key Bank, the exclusive retail bank of UConn men's basketball. Big Y, your family market. It's more than food, it's my Big Y. Brown, Penderas, and Scott. With BPS Lawyers, you get more than a lawyer. You get a law firm. Dime Bank, community banking lives here. Duncan, UConn runs on Duncan. JT Gamo Hartford, Connecticut's #1 place for tux rentals and men's fashion. Laz Fly Airport Parking. We've got lots to offer. Lewis Real Estate, the exclusive real estate company of UConn Athletics. Looking to buy or sell? Call 860-404-2655. Lippincott Van Lines, the definition of moving excellence. Magna Physical Therapy, potential through physical therapy. MagnaPT.com. Mitchell Auto Group. Mitchell Jeep is Connecticut's newest Jeep retailer at their all-new state-of-the-art dealership, offering exceptional customer service in the community for over 100 years. Orthopedic Associates of Hartford. Make your move. Live your life. Connect with the top orthopedic specialists at OAHCT.com. Trantolo and Trantolo, Connecticut's personal injury law firm. WFSB. Trust Connecticut's largest, most experienced team of meteorologists. The First Alert Weather Team. Only on Channel 3 Eyewitness News. And by UConn Health, the official healthcare provider of UConn Athletics. The proceeding has been a Learfield presentation of the UConn Sports Network.
Work. And then what's going to happen is he's going to get tired. We watch him airball a free throw. He turned the ball over in the second half. Even though he had